Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA, plus exclusive experiences, discounts, and tickets. Already a AAA member? Upgrade for free or join today at AAA.com/Commanders. The Commanders are a resilient bunch, but did it come at a cost? Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. I have stuff up now about the Commanders' 41-24 win over the Raiders, including what happened with Dan Quinn on the sidelines. And I also want to talk about how that mattered to this team and why it mattered to this team. So that's all on ESPN.com. And as a reminder, Bram Weinstein, the voice of Commanders, and I will be doing a live stream show Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern time. Join us there. Always enjoy having you guys on there. So there you go. Before I get into the game, listen, man, this was a good win for the Commanders. A lot of good things to talk about that they showed, but there are some injury concerns. I'm going to start with Will Harris. There was a report out already that he's fractured a fibula. I am trying to confirm that. It is just now coming out as I'm recording this. So I have my text messages out and to get that confirmed. So check back on ESPN.com later or my Twitter feed for a further update on that. But I did want to, since it's already out there, I wanted to give you a heads up on that because that would come at a cost for folks. Like if that's the case, then it's potentially a third starter lost for the season. And they didn't suffer that last year at all. Like that's a big key for their success. And it's going to continue to test that resiliency as we get deeper and deeper into the season and deeper into this schedule, which is a very tough one for sure. So, but as we saw today, this is a resilient bunch. And there are some other injuries to talk about that I'll get into as we get on with this podcast. But I do want to start off with, again, the resiliency. No Jayden Daniels. Marcus Mariota goes in and does very well. You have no John Bates, no Austin Eckler, no Noah Brown. There was a change at right guard with Andrew Wiley coming in. It turns out there was a change at left guard with Chris Paul going in for Brandon Coleman. I'll get into that in a minute too. And yet they came out on top. They came out and beat up on a team where I don't really want to say this is what they should do because the Raiders have been competitive and they're 1-1. Like they were competitive. This is not a team where you say, oh, you just got to steamroll them, especially giving all this situation with the injuries. But with Marcus Mariota, we've seen what he can do. And I also think you saw they did add some playmakers in the offseason. Deebo Samuel, Jalen Lane, especially as a punt return. That's one thing that I felt, and I communicated that here, and I don't think I'm alone in this, think that he was going to bust one at some point because that's the skill set he has at that spot for sure. And I think it all came at the right time. You had, and I was not surprised because I just think he's going to be a very good return in this league. Listen, man, you can look at their coach. You saw him get knocked down on the sidelines in the second quarter, he knocks the head off, knocks the headset off, head bounces on the ground. He gets right back up. He's got a bloody nose. He's got, after the game, that's like the bridge of his nose is all bloodied and bruised. You see blood on his white mustache. So it was not a pretty sight for Dan Quinn. But what mattered to the players is how he responded. As Bobby Wagner said, they've spent, the last year and a half listening to him talk about what, this is how you got to be. If something happens, you get knocked down, you got to get back up. You get knocked down, get back up. All these sayings, all these motivational people he brings in, it's focusing on a big theme like this. Well, they got to see their coach then go live it. Now, listen, man, if you get hurt, you get hurt. You can't, there's not much you can do about it, but it's the way he responded that got them fired up. And, he jogged off the field that this is right. Of course, 4 seconds left in the first half. Matt Gay completes that drive with the field goal. Quinn jogs off the field, but in the locker room, like Chris Rodriguez was saying, he was yelling let's go, let's go. Wagner said that they didn't know, he went into the trainer's room to get some treatment, certainly get checked out for whatever might have taken place. And, then they weren't sure if he was going to be available. So Wagner's gathering the players. He said it was kind of like a movie where he's about ready to talk to the players. And here comes Dan Quinn. It's like, I got it. Let's go. Now, Wagner also said that he was a lot more colorful with his words with that. And when he was asked, well, what did he say? He's like, I really can't repeat that. But it was clearly more colorful than what you would have gone. But the whole thing is what it mattered to the players. And as Wagner said, this is what he preaches And this is what he went out and lived. And the other thing about it too, what I also think speaks volumes, is how Quinn handled it after the game. Like he didn't want attention on that. Like he did not want it on that at all. Like he when he was asked about it initially, he said we had a good laugh about it. I asked him more about it. Like what did it feel like? It's like probably like what you would expect, which is maybe a silly question, but sometimes they have a really good quote on that. And then Kimberly Martin, my ESPN colleague, asked him at the end that she relayed what Bobby Wagner said about him and how much it mattered to them. And rather than taking it as a moment to say what he means to them, he starts talking about what Bobby Wagner means to him. So he's somebody who's just going to deflect, deflect, deflect. And that's what was the case there. But it's why, like, as he was leaving the locker room to go to the press conference, I'm walking alongside him, and he walks by Javon Kinlaw's locker, and Kinlaw's just kind of vibing in his locker. And they gave a hug, and Kinlaw's like, "I love you, man." And like that's what these players have for him. So I think it's why this team will continue to fight and be resilient despite whatever injuries are going on. And some of the other updates, I don't have updates on these injuries, but what I can tell you, Marshawn Lattimore went out he was evaluated for a concussion, but we did see him in the late in the game on the sidelines riding a stationary bike. So that's a good sign. But we'll see throughout the week. Terry McLaurin left with the quad injury. We did not talk to the media afterwards, so I don't. And Quinn didn't. We didn't get the update. Quinn's not going to give an update after a game about it, anyways. But so that's something else to monitor. Now, could he have gone back in? They were blowing him out. There was no need. Trey Amos left with a calf injury. So that's another one to monitor. These things start to add up. And this is something they avoided last year. Like, yes, they have an old roster, but they had an old roster last year too. And they didn't have these kind of injuries. Sometimes it's just bad luck. But I do want to start with some of this wrap up here on Marcus Mariota, because he did a wonderful job. Again, that's 3 relief appearances now for him where he's gone out and he's done a really good job in this offense. It was 15 for 21, 200, I think it was 206, 207 yards, touchdown, had 40 yards rushing, just very, very efficient day for him. And one of the things I talked about in the podcast the other day in my 5 thoughts is why he is a good fit in this offense, and the way he executes a quick game, gets rid of the ball fast. And that's what we saw today. He got rid of the ball fast, only sacked 1 time, despite Max Crosby being over there and coming off a game where the Packers were all over Jayden Daniels. And so Mariota, the one blemish is the fumble, where he has a really nice run at the end of it, just he kind of hopped over a guy and the ball comes, off his arm, not tucked in, and he gets knocked out. Other than that, pretty damn good day for Mariota. But he is just such a good fit in this offense. And he clearly loves playing for Kingsbury in this team, because he talks about all the time how much it means to him. And this moment meant a lot to me. He said he even took a moment, during the game or after the game, just to kind of like soak it in, because he's very grateful for where he's at in his career and what he was able to experience. Because you don't know, like, you come out as a number 2 pick, the Heisman Trophy winner, you're the starting quarterback. Then you get put down into a different road, which is as a backup. And what are when you're going to get those chances? And he got the chance today. And that's why it meant so much to him. Like, he was beaming afterwards. Here's another cool thing. So they didn't find out until Friday that he was going to start. But he told me that he had about 15 to 30 people. I can't remember how much it was, more than 15 people who came to the game for him. But a number of them flew in from Hawaii. And that's when I said, well, did you know early in the week? I said, no, I didn't know until Friday. So these people found out on Friday that he was going to start and flew in from Hawaii. Now, the benefit was, or the one plus for them, I guess, is they had family in Portland that they could lay over there. But that's still, like, I've made that trip from here to Hawaii. It's a long ass flight. So for them to do that speaks to what this moment meant to him and to them. So it's a cool moment in sports when you see somebody who's experienced so much in his career get to experience the high again of this and getting that start. The other thing about those family members is that a lot of them have to go to work on Tuesday. So this was not an easy trip for them, but it meant that much to them, because you just don't know, when does it happen again? And we don't know when, who's going to start next week. We're going to go through that whole rigmarole with Jayden Daniels again this week with is he going to, is he not, where's he at? What can he do? Can he pivot? Can he cut? And just see. But if Mariota has to go play against Atlanta, I'll be quite sure that he'd be thrilled to play in that game against a team that he played with a couple before, or no, not before here, before he went to Philly, then here, but a team that where some people there questioned, did he quit on them because he he got hurt, didn't go back. It's not like getting to know him. That's not in his nature at all. So it's whatever you heard from back then. It's not anything like the guy that anybody has experienced here. And I don't think that, and it's why these guys were quite comfortable signing him. Anyways, but the other thing he does well is he knows, like you notice, and I talked about this too, his comfort level with Terry McLaurin. I thought McLaurin would have a big game because of it. And indeed, he had 3 catches, 74 yards. Should have had a 57-yard touchdown. It was ruled a 56-yarder, and that's where he hurt his quad. And but on the play, they did a replay. I'm not sure about you, but I still haven't seen his knee hit the ground. I don't know. They must have had a different angle that we didn't see on TV because I didn't see it hit the ground. If you saw it at home because they showed a different angle, drop it in the comments, but I didn't see him. So regardless, they overturned it. It's a 56-yard play, but and in 3 quarters. So like that's a good day for him. And it's what, there were a couple times we were able to get him. They only had 15 completions. And it's no coincidence that 9 of his 15 completions went to players that he has experience with. 3 to McLaurin, 3 to Zach Ertz, 3 to Luke McCaffrey. Those are guys that he worked with last year. Like Deebo only had a couple catches, had a few runs, but these are the ones that he has that Mariota had experience with. And so I think you could see that comfort level with those players. And there was one time that he had to set up a field goal because he had really good pass to found Ertz and when he was in trouble, and 3rd and long, whatever, but set up a field goal. Just a big clutch play by Mariota. Just the poise in the pocket, I think, was there. And I just felt like he operates this offense the RPO game, the zone read game, and it helped the run game quite a bit, which I'm going to get to in a few minutes. So, but again, first start in 3 years, all that family there, that moment meant a ton for him, and I think that's kind of cool. So, Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Commanders MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive team events and experiences, along with 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive. When I needed to get good seats at a cheap price for a Wizards game, I turned to the Game Time app and saved close to 50% off my tickets. Game Time offers the best prices and your total up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. They have a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. One app can help provide amazing lifetime experiences by allowing you to see events you might otherwise have missed. Download the Game Time app and use the code Keim, K-E-I-M, for $20 off your first purchase. During the season, my mornings get chaotic. I often feel I just don't have time or energy to make a big breakfast, so I grab my Huel Black Edition to kickstart my day. I feel satiated for hours and ready to go. Spelled H-U-E-L, their Black Edition powder is a complete meal, so you feel full, focused, and ready for your day. And now Huel just dropped a first-of-its-kind Super Greens drink in a can. It's called the Huel Daily Greens Ready to Drink. Forget powders, forget pills. This is your Daily Greens, sparkling, refreshing, and ready whenever you are. Together, Huel makes healthy eating simple. Try both today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with my exclusive code Keim, K-E-I-M, at Huel.com/Keim, Huel.com/Keim. Use my code and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show. But I also think they're players that just kind of embody what this team wants to be with Quinn. And you see guys like Jeremy McNichols. And I think part of the reason he's here is because the dude's played on 10, 11 teams, right? He's not a star in this league, but he does the things they want him to do. He's really good on special teams. He pass protects well. And then today you saw him with a 60-yard touchdown run where he breaks 4 tackles, including one in the hole from Jeremy Chin, who had popped Debo on the sideline at one point as well. But so breaks the tackle line. And it's funny because I asked Mariota, well, what did you see on that play? He goes, I thought he got tackled 4 times. So, he just slipped through tackles. Last one he slips through is Max Crosby, gets to the end zone. But that's the kind of guy, like, this is the kind of game. It's like the Olamides, the Kiases of last year. Like, those are the kind of guys that I think can, when you're able to go in, when your moment comes and you produce, that's what you need. Chris Rodriguez, another guy. I in my little private Zoom chat with the club, a few club members before the game, I thought Krosky Merritt would get more carries, but it's like it was very, very split throughout that group. And as Rodriguez said, we got some boys in the room, right? And so who can carry the ball, and they can all do a little bit of everything. And you saw it, like Rodriguez was very good on that first drive. He keyed that drive, and it's why that Debo Samuel's 69-yard kickoff return resulted in a touchdown by the offense because of how Rodriguez ran. So I just think there's a lot of those kind of stories that adds up when you are in these adversity situations. Like, you get guys who are, as Rodriguez said, like, yeah, he got his chance, but he did nothing different this week, because if you prepare each week like you're going to start or play, then you'll be ready when your moment comes. The guys who don't last in this league are the ones who, when their moment comes, they aren't ready for it. And when you're not ready for it, you don't always get another chance. So guys like this, they'll get more chances because they were ready. And I think it makes a big difference. Wiley going in for Allegretti. Now, I wasn't able to sit there and just focus on the offensive line a ton today, but certainly you didn't see any problems with that line. Like, again, they did a good job with Mariota, a really good job in the run game. Chris Paul going in for Brandon Coleman. That was not an injury thing. And that was something that was made clear to us before the game. This is a coach's decision. It was not an injury thing. And to be honest, I thought Chris Paul did a nice job this summer. And I thought there was a point where I thought, like, are they going to have him challenge him for the job? Because I think when Coleman missed like 3 weeks, Paul went in there and did a nice job. And Coleman, he had to sit out one practice, or he didn't. He was in a non-contact jersey on Wednesday because of his shoulder. So, like, that stuff adds up. But if you're, first of all, they want you to be available. Secondly, you got to produce. And he's given that chance. But Paul was close enough that, hey, if this guy in the first couple games isn't getting it done, put the next guy in. And this is what Dan Quinn said, this is what they're about. Like, this is about competition. You can say, like, Wiley and Paul are not guaranteed to continue starting beyond probably next game or whatever it is, or assuming they stay the starters. And I don't know why they wouldn't, but assuming they stay the starter, then there's no guarantee that the next game, because if they don't do the job against Atlanta, then you're not going to see them back in there. So I think, like, you talk about competition, this is how you get that point across. If somebody's not doing the job and someone else is close, put him in. Paul, again, had a good summer. And you saw some of that power at times. Like, again, I've got to go back and watch it more before I say he had a great game or did this or that. But I do know they also used Trent Scott as another blocking tight end. And those guys did do a good job. There was, in fact, on one of Rodriguez's, I think it was a 14-yard run where he cuts back to the left. Those guys were the ones that opened the hole. The linebacker appeared to be coming through the right side, kicks to the left, but Scott and Paul were among the guys there, and Ben Sinnott clearing that hole on that side. So just a good job by them for sure. And the run game succeeded, and here's a couple of reasons why. I mean, part of it is the blocking and the vision. I think the vision and the cuts by the running backs were also really good. So, this is a second game in 3 games where the run game has really, really produced from a variety of guys too. It was Mariota, it was Bill Krosky Merritt, it was McNichols, it was Chris Rodriguez. Debo had a few carries. So all of that, but this is the kind of run game they have. When they're going well, it's a diverse attack, and they put pressure on you in many different ways. And that's what we saw again today. So they did a good, like Max Crosby. You didn't hear his name called that often, did you? And I think in the run game, they did a good job against him for a couple of reasons. You can take them out of the game with the action of play. On one of the runs by Rodriguez early, I think it was one of his longer early runs, Crosby has to kind of stay because the action of Mariota is like he might be turning out, right? And you know that he can do that, whether it's keeping the ball or going on a boot. So Crosby's holding firm. He's really good at pursuing backside. You hold the guy there, and now there's no backside pursuit. And that helps create a path to the other side for Rodriguez. Saw that. And that was again on that 14-year run, like that's what I saw. Like it was, Scott and Benson it again. And then also McLaurin had a block on that 14-yard run. On Mariota's 22-yard run. And this is one of the things that, is talking to one of the players, like you take away their best player with the threat of that quarterback keeper. And on his keeper, and this is the one where he fumbles at the end. So not a good ending, but a really good play to like Crosby comes up and he basically is almost perpendicular to the line of scrimmage because he's not expecting Mariota to do it. He's going at Rodriguez. So it made an easy call, but they basically you remove the best defensive player from the play with that fake. And so he turns up field, boom, good play. There were a couple other times where they attacked him, like he shoots inside, but they attacked him with the screen. So they go to his side. He gets some pursuit, but they screen to his side. So it doesn't matter. So they did a really good job to me of game planning on not just against him, but to offset what their best player can do for sure. So um and this was a good run defense. And I told you before, like, in our chat and our live stream the other night, I mentioned like all I knew is they had played the run well in the first two games. So it looked like their run defense was good. And in the first two games, it was. And this game, it was not because this group dominated up front on both sides of the line. But I also felt like the game plan with the run game was very good. And when you can stay balanced, you get that big play early by Deebo Samuel, and now you're balanced and you have a rhythm. They were able to get a rhythm in the pass game. And by the way, I think they would have had a big game with Jayden Daniels out there too. So I thought this was a game that would have been really good for him just to get him and the pass game to get that rhythm back for sure. And I think that's coming. But on the 14-yard keeper by Mariota, the defensive end is eyeing Krosky Merritt. Why? Because the backs were doing a good job. So they were more concerned with the backs because they were hurting him in there. So they're cheating toward the backs. He just takes around for 14 yards. And again, Benson at downfield with a really good block. So I think they played off that running back success by keeping them off guard with what they were going to do. When you're in control of the game, that's the stuff you can do. When you don't have control of the game, it's really hard to do that and it's converting on third down, which allows you to do that. So a good job with that offensive game plan. Defensively, I think you know what it was. Like they dominated up front. And I thought that would be the case in this game. Like I felt pretty good thinking that they would dominate that offensive line. I did not, Ashton Genty, I think, is going to be a really good back. Like you saw some flashes today of what he can do. But man, behind that group, it's going to be a struggle because I just felt like they could take advantage of the interior and the tackles were just okay. So at best, that line was okay. I thought it was very weak inside, and I thought Kinlaw and Payne could have a dominant day. And what happened too is Bobby Wagner gets freed up on blitzes. They took advantage of some weak pass protection by the backs. And Wagner even blitzes on one, just beats the back, knocks him away, and gets the sack. So like that happened a lot today. So the defensive line really controlled that front seven controlled the game because I'm going to put Frankie Louvu in there too because I thought I want to go again. When you go back and watch, you learn a lot more. But I thought he was very active today, and there were a couple times where just active in the run game. Also on Von Miller's sack, Miller takes tackle upfield, but he's able to cut back inside in part because Luvu's taking two guys, the back and the right guard are occupied with Frankie Louvu, who just smashes into them. That leaves a gap for Miller to get through and to sack Geno Smith. So they were all over Geno Smith. The only shocker to me is that he didn't throw a pick because I told you before on Saturday, like when he's under pressure, he's not very good with the ball. So that's the one thing I thought they would get. And they almost had Trey Amos almost had a wonderful pick or tipped it to Harris. But it didn't happen. That's the one thing that this defense has to start doing. The concern now will be with these injuries in the secondary. What does it look like next week? Because you are facing an offense that has some weapons that can do some things if you're not back there familiar and communicating. But Jeremy Reeves is an experienced player. Percy Butler can go in there. Tyler Owens has been getting more time. They're going to have to piece it together for sure. The corner will be the one that's interesting to watch, depending on what the status update for Amos, and then if with Lattimore, if he indeed, they never said he had a concussion. They just said he was evaluated for a concussion. So that's going to be something to watch as well, because then, they're already down Jonathan Jones. So he's out now. He's on IR. and they brought up Antonio Hamilton, who they really liked this summer. They brought him on, but they liked him this summer. They liked his special teams ability. And you have Carlin Vigors, who Vigors needed, like, I know they like his potential, but he's got to show he would have to play better than he did in the preseason. So I think, be curious to see what happens there, but that is something to watch for sure. And the one thing, because, I talked about like that defense, they did give up some big plays today. And sometimes it's just that, just like against the Packers game, that first big play of the 45-yard of Jacoby Myers, I'm still trying to kind of guess what they're doing, and I don't have a good idea. What I know is Will Harris was a he was playing deep half on the right side. Quan Martin saw something in the hole, flies up from the deep half on the left, and that's where Jacoby Myers hits. So whether it's somebody supposed to rotate to deep middle or whether Martin was supposed to stay back, he saw something, he comes flying up. And because the action of the play looked like a run to the left or a screen to the left, but they just set up and threw backside. So but regardless, it was a mess up. Somebody messed up again, and there have been too many messes up. Now, as the game went on, the Raiders hit some big plays, but I'm going to watch, see what happened. But sometimes it's a matter of like they had new guys in there, and so you're not quite sure what happened and how was the communication with that group. And it's funny because I asked Bobby Wagner the challenge for him when you have all those injuries going in and out. He said that he has to sometimes repeat things a couple times in the huddle to make sure all these new guys get it. But it didn't help them on some of those pass plays. And also, you can't let guys get behind you when you're up by a lot. Like, if you give up touchdowns, that's one thing, but you got to keep things in front of you. And they had the one long touchdown to tuck them. That certainly cannot happen. But it did. But I give a big shout out to that interior line. I think they were really, really good. But again, I felt like they would be, Dorrance Armstrong with a sack, Miller had a sack, Wagner had 2. And so like they had 5 overall. Like it was a really good game by that group, by that front 7 for sure. So Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Commanders MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive team events and experiences, along with 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive. But again, the injury stuff will be something to watch throughout the week, but you can at least talk about injuries coming off a win versus coming off a loss. This team's resiliency will continue to be tested. But I think, as Wagner said about Quinn, like he preached what he lived. And this is how this team's going to have to be right now with all these injuries. They're going to be severely tested for sure. Today, they passed. They just need to keep doing it. Good win today, a really good win. And I do want to mention too, Luke McCaffrey. He had 3 catches and a touchdown, like a bit, 57 yards, I think it was 56 yards. So he finally got involved in them. He had a big stop on special teams. So, if you can get a little bit more from him over the course of the season, that would be a big help too. Get more guys. This was a chance for some young players to show what they can do. And some of them definitely did. And I think, again, that's when you start to develop the depth. This is the result of that. But this is when they have to do it. Like, this is when you need these guys. You have like Tyler Owens, they were developing him. You're gonna have to play more, right? Jeremy Reeves, smart backup, and the guy who can go out and play. So, but can they not, you're gonna have to piece together what Will Harris did because they have different skill sets. So it will change some things. But again, it's, if you're building the right depth and the right mindset, you can overcome some of this. It's hard to overcome a ton of injuries. And this is my concern last week, that when you start getting these early in the year, it's really hard because it's hard. They just mount. But if they, we'll see with Bates and Brown this week. Cosme will be back soon at some point. And Jayden Daniels will be back. So there is good news on that front. And again, the good news, 41-24, they're 2-1. And in 2 of the 3 games, they've done exactly what they should. They've looked good in those games. And off to Atlanta. Appreciate you tuning in. Talk to you next time.